Hello students, today is a marathon on modal verbs and I'm going to start with a story. One day I was late for school. My English class was going on and I knocked at the door and said, "Ma'am, can I come in?" And my teacher replied, "Yes, you can, but you may not." I stood there confused. Well, today we have a marathon class on modal verbs. That one single class that will give you everything from what are modal verbs, the rules around the usage of the 9 modal verbs, the 6 categories of meanings with differences between each of them, and lots of examples. So whether it's a competitive exam or you just want to become an advanced English speaker, this is your ultimate resource. This is a huge lesson. So get your pen and paper ready and let's get going. Hey, this is Chetna and you're on ChetChat. And this content is also available as a podcast on Skill Up with ChetChat, available exclusively on Spotify. So, there are 9 modal verbs: can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might, and must. What are they? They're a type of helping verb which, when used together with the main verb, convey additional meanings. What kind of meanings? Modal verbs can help us convey the possibility of a particular action taking place or its ability. We can use them to talk about an obligation to do something, to take permission, to give permission, for making a request, for giving advice or opinion, for making an offer, for promising something or speculating about a certain action. Let's look at the rules of modal verbs. Rule number 1. Modal verbs can never be used by themselves. They always need to be used along with another verb. Example, I can a car is wrong. What does that even mean? You need to say I can drive a car or I can park a car. Rule number 2. A modal verb is followed by the base form of the verb. This is also called an infinitive verb without the word to. Example, I can run. The infinitive form is to run, but we use it without the to. I can run. She should study, not she should to study. Rule number 3. Modal verbs cannot be conjugated. Use them as they are. Example, for regular verbs we might say play, played, plays, but we cannot do must, musted, musts. Similarly, he can cycle, not he cans cycle. So use the modal verbs as they are. Do not change their form according to tense or pronouns. They remain as they are. Rule number 4. In the negative form also, modal verbs are used as they are without the use of any additional auxiliary verbs like do. The structure is subject plus modal verb plus not plus verb plus object optional. You must not eat donuts. I cannot speak Italian, not I don't can speak Italian. Each of them, by the way, can be contracted in the negative form: shouldn't, couldn't, and wouldn't. Mightn't is technically a word, but is not used frequently. So might not and may not are usually spoken and written as 2 words without contracting. For will and shall, the spellings change in the negative. Will becomes won't, shall, shan't. Rule number 5. In the interrogative form as well, modal verbs are used as they are without the use of any additional auxiliary verbs like do you. Structure is modal verb plus subject plus main verb plus optional object. Can you play, not do you can play. The structure changes to make a question where the modal verb is moved before the subject. Should I tell him? Okay, that completes the rules. Now we're going to get into the meat of this session, the 6 different types of situations in which we typically use modal verbs and the differences between each of them: ability, possibility, advice, permission, obligation, hypothetical, or conditional. 1. Ability. Can and could convey the ability to do something. Take a look at these sentences. I can swim now, but I couldn't swim when I was younger. They could play the piano, but now they can't. Can is used for ability to do something in the present. I can swim, I can understand Spanish, meaning I am able to understand Spanish.
Yes, we can.
The famous Barack Obama slogan, inspiring people that we have the ability to make a difference. You can do it. Is your gym instructor motivating you? Cannot, or the contraction can't, is used to express the lack of ability in the present tense. Example, I can't sing, he can't cook, they can't understand the teacher. One trivia, cannot is the only negative modal which is written as one word, cannot. All others are written as two words, could not, should not, may not, and will not, etc. Now, could is used for an ability that existed in the past. Example, she could run very fast when she was younger. They could play the guitar when they were in a band. He could speak fluent French when he lived in France. Could not, or the contraction couldn't, is used for the lack of ability in the past. She couldn't find her keys yesterday. They couldn't solve the difficult puzzle. He couldn't swim when he was a child. Now, before we move on to the second category, it's shout out time. And this week, the shout out goes to Arya Mala for scoring 98.8% in 12th grade. Keep shining, and if you want a shout out, write to me with the hashtag ChetChatters. The second category is possibility. Many of the modal verbs can be used to talk about the probability or possibility of an action taking place. These words have subtle differences in their meanings, and many times, of course, they can be used interchangeably too. But I have risked making a grading scale of these words for you, which is on the screen right now. Disclaimer, there is no accurate percentage prescribed for each one of them. Look at them more in relation to each other. There is a degree of possibility, impossibility, and you can take a quick screenshot. Must. Must expresses a high degree of likelihood or probability. The concert starts in half an hour. They must be getting ready. She's been studying hard. She must be well prepared for the exam. We're almost certain. She must certainly be well prepared since she has been studying so hard. Shall. Shall is used to predict future events with a reasonable degree of certainty. The train shall arrive at 9 a.m. The sun shall set in an hour. Shall is formal and very British old-fashioned, like I shall have tea with the king this week with cookies and mummy. Will. Will is also used to make predictions about the future. It will rain later today. He will probably arrive late to the meeting. These are likely, but not with an extremely high degree of certainty. Should. Should is used to express probability with some expectation. Example, it's already 5 o'clock. He should be home by now. There is some expectation here. If I should visit Dhaka, I will surely visit you. There is a small possibility. And if anyone's living in Dhaka, do drop me a line below. Can. Can is used to express the potential of something happening. It can rain later. If you perhaps see a thick cloud cover, you can say it can rain later. You're already seeing the signs of something happening. The team can win the game if they play well. This is similar to ability. They can win. They have the potential to win or the ability to win. Could. Could is used to express a conditional or hypothetical possibility. I could meet you for lunch tomorrow if my schedule allows. The package could arrive today or tomorrow. It's uncertain and hypothetical. It could happen. If we leave early, we could avoid the traffic. May. May is commonly used to express possibility or probability. Example, it may rain later today. They may arrive early. Might is used when the chances of something happening are lower than with may. He might be at home or he might be at work. They might arrive early, but I'm not sure. In their negative forms, most modal verbs express a similar degree of impossibility, just like they had in the positive form. Like saying someone may come is probable, and the opposite, may not come, is also equally probable. But there are two exceptions: cannot and could not. Now, can and could have a linkage to ability, and in their negative form, cannot and could not indicate a near impossibility, since there is no chance, no ability of that action taking place. I cannot fly without wings. The cat cannot speak English. We cannot change the past. The action or event is not possible under any circumstances. Could not or couldn't is also used to indicate a past situation in which the action was not possible. There is a small difference between could not and cannot. Couldn't implies that the attempt was made but still resulted in impossibility. She couldn't lift the heavy box by herself. She tried, but she couldn't. They couldn't find the keys to the locked door. They kept looking, but they couldn't. In addition to possibility and impossibility, there is another aspect of deduction or speculation, like making a calculated guess about something happening based on evidence. 5 modal verbs are used for deduction and speculation. Must and should. Example: the board exams are starting on Monday. Laila must be studying for the exam. The negotiations should end soon. It's been a few hours already. Here we're making a strong deduction based on evidence or expectation. Might, could. They might be running late. He could be Spanish, judging by his accent. With might and could, we're expressing a possibility or a lower probability. Can't. Can't is used to express a strong deduction that something is not true or highly unlikely or nearly impossible. They can't be lost. They know this area well. This can't be the right answer. It doesn't make sense. The concert can't be sold out already. I just checked the website. Three, advice. Let's take a look at modal verbs used for giving advice, suggestions, recommendations, asking for advice, and offering help. Giving advice and suggestions. Must and should are the strongest recommendation words. Example: you should eat more vegetables for a healthy diet. Sounds like a strong recommendation. You must see that movie. It's fantastic. Strong recommendation. Could gives them options. You could consider taking a vacation. You've been pretty stressed of late. Seems like you're giving them a suggestion with options. Watch this video, by the way, I'm putting a link here, to find the difference between the power of should versus could in giving suggestions. Might can be used for a formal sounding suggestions. You might want to consider taking a different approach. Can is an informal substitute of could. You can pick up Jane from the airport on your way back. Shall is seldom used, but in question form, we can use it to give a suggestion. Shall we sit in the balcony? Native speakers say this as shall we? Shall we sit in the balcony? May can also be used in an informal context. You may want to join a yoga class to reduce your stress. And there is one more semi-modal verb called ought to, which is formal and old-fashioned, which is also used to give a strong recommendation. You ought to arrive early for the meeting. Ought to carries a slight ethical and moral obligation. You ought to follow the rules. Asking for advice. When you're asking for advice, pick up all the polite modal verbs out of the bag. Would, could, and should. What should I do if I have a conflict with a colleague? Could you give me some advice on how to improve my writing skills? I would love your opinion on the matter. Offering help. Can, could, and may are the most common modal verbs to offer help. Example: I can help you with your homework, or can I help you with anything? I could give you a ride to the airport, or could I be of any assistance to you? May I assist you with carrying those bags? Additionally, will, would and shall can also be used. Example, I will bring biryani to the party tomorrow. Would you like me to drop you? Shall I make you a cup of tea? Would and shall are formal. Shall is old-fashioned too. In case you're offering help by making a promise to do something in the future, you can use will and shall. I will water your plants while you're away. I shall walk your dog in the evenings. The fourth category is giving permission. Can, could and may are commonly used to give permission. You can go to the party if you finish your homework. This is informal. You may use my computer to complete your assignment. This is formal and authoritative. You could borrow my car for the weekend if you like. We're giving them an option to borrow the car. Asking for permission. The same three modal verbs can, could and may can be used to ask or obtain permission. Can I use your pen, please? This is informal. May I leave the classroom early today is formal. Could I borrow your umbrella for a moment is polite and formal. Now remember in my story when I asked my teacher, ma'am, can I come in? And she said, yes, you can, but you may not. What she meant was, yes, you have the ability to come into my class. You can come in, but I am not giving you the permission. You may not. In addition to can, could and may, will and would are also used to make requests. Will you close the door when you leave is informal. Would you mind passing the salt to me, please? Is polite. Category number 5 is obligation. Must, should and have to are the most commonly used modal verbs to express strong obligation. Have to is a semi-modal verb. You must submit your assignment by tomorrow. Students should study for their exams. Employees have to follow the company's code of conduct. What is the difference between these two sentences? I have a toothache. I must see a dentist. We have to wear fancy dress at the party. Have to is an external obligation. The dress code has been prescribed by someone else. We have to follow. Must is an internal obligation. I feel like I must see a dentist. But the moment my mom is forcing me to go, I would say, Mom is forcing me. I have to go to the dentist today. Let's look at negative obligation or prohibiting someone. And the strongest prohibition comes from the opposites of the words that we used for the strongest recommendation. So, must not and should not. You must not enter this area without proper authorization. You should not eat too much junk food. It's not healthy. Should always carries an element of advice. The negative forms of can, could and may are also used to prohibit someone. Example, you can't smoke here in the present tense. You're not able to. You're not allowed to. We couldn't park outside the mall is past tense. We tried, but we were not able to. You may not come in is authoritative, like my English teacher. In old-fashioned English, we could also say, you shall not enter this compound, which means you are not allowed to enter. At 6 is conditional statements. If something is hypothetical, it depends on some condition to be fulfilled, use could, would and might. If I had a magic wand, I would grant everyone's wishes. If I won the lottery, I would donate it to charity. If it rains, we might stay indoors. There's an element of possibility here with the might. Notice the difference between these two statements. In reality, I have a busy schedule, so I can't attend the event. But if I had a free day, I could go to the event. Notice how the modal verbs of can and could help us contrast real and hypothetical situations. Now, modal verbs could, would and might are also used to express uncertain or tentative statements. He could be at home. Let me check. The event might be postponed due to bad weather. If she won the competition, she would be thrilled. That takes care of our modal verbs marathon class. And I will do a separate class on past modals in the future. So if you want more on that, do ping me in the comment section below. Meantime, happy learning.